I'm not sure Ghanaians are concerned about the salience of your ideas.
Yes.
The ideas may sound good because Ghanaian politicians are very good at telling us what they want to do. I think the problem with
mine is
citizens,
different.
the problem citizens have with our duty bearers is the ability to implement what they say they want to do.
Yes.
So, for example, planting for food and jobs seems like a great idea on paper.
Yeah.
The results are at best checkered.
Yes. Yeah.
So I think the question to you is why should people believe that you have the people to implement this? Because it's not just the idea. The idea doesn't implement itself.
Yeah.
Do you have people of proven track record and integrity to actually implement some of these ideas you are?
So the first thing with execution is with the leadership. If you as a leader, you come out with, let's say, a policy or a program, you have to check your record. What is your own capacity for execution and delivery? You see, because it's not a question of, let's say, putting everybody in the same basket, or the politicians just talk. If you audit the background of the people who make claims that they can do A, B, C, D, you know those who have a record of execution and those who not. And my record is clear. This is, way before I came into government, that I have a superlative record of performance, execution. During
determined by who?
During President, the results and the outcome. If during President Kufuor's time, I know we won't have the opportunity to talk about it. One of the most successful agro-industrial initiatives was the presidential special initiatives. And this is not just talking about
and where are they
but execution. But you want us to go into that?
No,
I'm ready.
Because
but
it's also about sustainability.
But you see,
right?
But sustainability,
if you say
that's
one
not
of
the issue.
Most impressive things.
Yes, of course, but everybody knows that. So that's number one. If you talk about sustainability, then you are bringing the issue of, let's say, how did the NDC follow up on the PSIs? Because the reason why I'm still campaigning to be president is because I want to change our political system where there is no continuity in the execution of projects. As soon as you leave beautiful ideas about PSIs, NDC comes and it's a different.
But even when NPP came, they didn't go back to it.
Well, but
it was such a great thing. Why didn't NPP take? Because you were trade minister. Why didn't you?
But I got it back. You see, but you see, if you hear about one district, one factory, it's the same thing. I started that under President Kufuor, but it was under a different brand. Everything that I've done I did during President, it's all a question of rebranding, repackaging. I don't.
So let me get this right.
Yeah.
1D, 1F is PSI
I started
rebranded.
Even going beyond that, you see, during President Kufuor's time, apart from the PSI, you see, the PSIs were new strategic industries, 4 of them: garments and textiles, oil palm, industrial salt, and then industrial starch from cassava. At that time, I was preaching that if Ghana can only concentrate on these 4 sectors, we will transform the economy. So these were new strategic pillars of growth, like cocoa, diversifying the economy. Now, but that was different from what I called at that time district industrialization program, where I said that, look, every district, at that time we had 110 districts. Let us develop 3 industries for every district. It was 110. Before I left office, I had prepared 330 business plans. That's 3 projects for each district.
This was before you left as
Kufuor's trade minister. 330 business plans. So that if Bernard Ableh wanted to do something in his district, you come. There are 3 projects already packaged. All you need is to now take it up, and then government will support you. Now, as soon as we left office, did you hear about this ever from the NDC? So you cannot blame Alan for the sustainability of it. But because you wanted to know about it. So that's number one.
But the 1D1F was not necessarily new. At least the understanding of 1D1F was that even existing industries sort of being revamped. It was all grouped under that. So
yes.
It wasn't like the new. So I'm not sure it was the 300 business cases you made that were translated into 1D, 187.
No. Maybe you've
or
not
just the idea.
You've not understood me. You wanted to know whether what I did previously, the PSIs, was the same as one. And I'm trying to explain to you. Yes. Now, so there were the PSIs
and then the
district industrialization program. Now, when we came into office this time, I've rebranded the two. The PSIs have now transitioned into the 10 new strategic anchor industries. At that time, it was 4. Now, I scaled this up to 10. And now it's rebranded not as PSIs, but new strategic anchor industries, under which now I started the vehicle assembly business.
Okay. So let's stay with the first question. The question was, the idea may be great, and then how do you translate that? And you said it's because of your track record.
Yes, so that's number one.
Fair enough. But I want to deal with that.
Okay.
So you, as one person,
yes,
does not necessarily translate into the team that you work with.
Yes.
Okay, so you were trade minister,
and
you say you did extremely well as trade minister.
Yeah, but that's the record is there.
It can be debated. No
problem. But it's there.
I think the question people are asking is where are the people who execute this? What is their proven track record? Because as you've admitted, it's not the quality of the idea alone. It's the people who drive the idea. And you as president will not be the one implementing all these things.
No, but
because you have people who will be doing it.
But Bernard, I said it starts with leadership.
Fair enough.
No, but it's not. Bernard, it's not a question of fair enough. It's very important because you want to know the elements. So I'm saying that the first is leadership.
Yes.
The second is building a team.
Good.
A team that understands not just the idea, but what it takes to execute.
Mm-hmm.
Now, so if I didn't build a team, how could I have worked on these PSIs and the district industrialization program? But I cannot account for what happened after that. So I'm submitting to you and putting it to you that it was not just my leadership. It was also the team that I built around that. Everybody who has tracked my performance will tell you that both under President Kufuor and under President Kufuor, in my ministry, I demobilize the structure. There's no director, there's nothing. I create project teams. I've changed the face of the civil service structure. I create project teams. So at that time, under Kufuor, there was a project team specifically for industrial starch, a project team for garments and textiles. So they don't behave like civil servants. They behave like project managers. That's what I do. So when you're talking about a team, it's not just Alan. I bring the idea, but I create the institutional structures to deliver and execute. And that's why I'm so successful, because I can get so many things done at the same time.
Did you use that same approach in your second tenure?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
so are you saying that when
you ask
under your tenure in Ministry of Trade, I didn't see director of policy
implementation,
those things?
If you look at the civil service law, the structure, there are only 4 divisions that by law are required. I think finance and administration, HR, and then policy planning 4. Apart from that, there is no requirement on the part of any minister to do ABCD. So in my case, and my record is there, I restructure whether it was during Kufuor's time and I hope that people will learn from what I've done.
The challenge is that there's a loss of confidence
in politics. No, you're 100%
so
correct.
If you say it's leadership, fair enough, but in your campaigning, have other people come along to say they believe you? Who can you show us has said, I support Alan, and therefore we are not just a small group of noise makers, but we actually mean business, and we have the men, especially because as an independent candidate, you don't have MPs. Again, when you look at the posters, most of your opponents will put a candidate and his MP in an area. So he's basically projecting who I'm bringing. You are not doing that. So who are your people?
So let me use your own phrase now. Fair enough. So, Bernard, now the first thing is about the whole concept of an independent candidate. You know, what I'm bringing to the political space in Ghana is something that is not just innovative, but that's what is going to change our politics in Ghana. So what I'm saying is that, number one, our biggest challenge in Ghana right now is not the economic crisis. The economic crisis is a symptom of a deeper problem. And what is that deeper problem? Is the divisiveness and the polarization of politics in Ghana. Ghana is now divided along the line. Everything has been politicized. How can you sustain development in a country when the whole country is divided? So I'm saying the philosophy and the architecture, the new architecture of politics that I'm bringing, I'm saying that what we have now is not sustainable. We have to go beyond the NDC, NPP fight and have an individual who is elected as president on his own merit, and he can bring the country together. So the critical component of what I'm bringing to the table now is uniting Ghana. And that is the only way we can move forward. That's number one. Number two, I'm also saying that now, if I am coming as an independent candidate, it means that I can bring not just people together, but I will create a government of national unity. And if you create a government of national unity, it means that you are going beyond politicians. Apart from bringing people from the political parties, you are also harnessing the collective strength of all Ghana. How is it that in a country when we have so much talent, we are saying that if you are not a frontline member of either NDC or NPP, you cannot contribute to our governance? For me, it doesn't make sense. So it's not just standing as an independent candidate to bring the country together, which I think is the biggest challenge. That's what we need, to bring the country together and stop this divisiveness. But number two, it's also to have a more inclusive governance architecture and bring the collective strength of Ghana, of Ghanaians, both at home and abroad, to contribute to the project. So when somebody asks, how are you going to get your ministers?
Yeah.
But that is very simple. I am saying that I will pick ministers from the two parties in parliament.
You will pick ministers from the two parties in parliament. Or the parties in parliament.
The parties in parliament. And then independent candidates. Or any other party, because we haven't gone into the election now. Yeah. There are other political parties who may be represented in parliament. So I will pick ministers from the parties that are represented in parliament. But in addition to that, there may be independent candidates also in parliament. And I also have the flexibility to pick from them. So what is the problem with that? I mean, people
the problem with that is that the frustrations with the two leading parties who generally would, based on the record, have dominated parliament.
Yes.
So are you going to pick your ministers from, because don't forget the constitution already asks you to pick at least half of them.
Yes, at least, yes.
So you're going to pick half of the ministers
from NDC and then NPP. What?
That a lot of people who may support you are tired of.
Okay, I understand.
People are not just tired of the presidential candidates, they are also tired of their leaders. So you're going to pick your ministers from the same branch?
But Bernard, I'm picking them not because they are NDC or NPP. I'm picking them on the basis of their own individual merits. It's just that they are in parliament, and I'm required by the constitution to pick at least half from the parliament. And I'm saying that as an independent, I have become president not on the strength of any party. I'm there because of my own capacity and capability. Now I'm required by the constitution to pick
half
X number.
Yes,
there. And I'm saying that there are parties that are represented there. I am selecting them from any of the parties on the basis of their individual capabilities.
So have you identified any people within
there are many of them.
The
reason why I mean, in all humility, even at the risk of sounding a bit boastful, I'm the president that Ghana needs at this time. Because when you have a divided country, you need somebody who has endeared himself to all kinds of people from different political persuasions. So whether it is NDC or NPP, even now that I left NPP, I can tell you, the majority of the rank and file of NPP, they will still prefer me as president. They still love me. There's no doubt about that. Yeah, that? because they know. You see, because they know the contribution I've made, not only to the formation of the NPP, but it's not even about that, because I don't have a problem with the rank and file of the NPP. The problem I had, and I came out and I made it clear, it's just with a few people, the leadership, there's some few people at the top of the NPP. But that's not even the point. I am saying that even the rank and file, the majority of them know my worth, and they know that if I am president, their lives will be better off than any other person. And it's the same thing with NDC.
I get it. So you're going to choose
my ministers,
at least half of them from the parties in parliament, which will definitely include NDC and MPP. And you deliberately make sure there's a mix.
Yes,
so you have NDC and MPP ministers, and as then an independent president.
Yeah, and any other parties that may come into parliament, and then also, but it will be based on their own capacity.
But what if they say they don't want it? What if the MPP members of parliament say they don't want to?
No, but let's be real. Look, so if, for example, you are representing NPP or NDC in parliament, now because at that point, the election is over. Alan is president. Now you say you are in parliament because you want to contribute to the development of the country, and you are selected, and you are saying that.
So you don't see a problem there. They will accept it.
Look, people will even rush. You see, because like I'm saying, it depends on the type of person who is now the independent president. But I'm even going to suggest that, look, apart from this effort that I'm making to become the first independent candidate to become president, in terms of our governance architecture, we have to look at this model very well. Because you see, if you look at Benin, across, you know that Benin, for 2 consecutive terms, they've had an independent presidential candidate who became president. And Benin is going through the most transformational period.
But do they have the same entrenched
duopoly? They have. It was even worse than ours. President Kreku and all those
things.
But
the history in Ghana shows that the 2 parties are actually getting stronger. If I show you, of course, history is not the best, but history is a guide.
They are not getting stronger.
No, they are.
They are getting weaker.
No,
I will challenge you on that.
I will show you this. There's a chart I can show you on my computer. Where between 1992 to 2020, the percentage of votes gotten by parties other than NDC and MPP has reduced from 10% to less than 2%.
But I'll explain
that's number one. Okay. Number 2, even parliamentary-wise, now it's purely just one independent. Whereas under the first there were few. So my point.
But I'll explain to you. But I'll explain to you. No, it's a misunderstanding. I don't want to say misrepresentation. It's a misunderstanding of what has been happening in our political. But just also to give you, it's not just Africa. Do you know that the most successful president of all times in the United States, George Washington, 2 terms that he was in office, he was an independent candidate. George Washington, in the headquarters of democracy.
Over hundreds of years ago.
Yes, George Washington, and he warned against the duopoly at that time, because there was this same fight.
Today, an independent candidate.
No, but I'm just telling you that we also have to learn, but they can also learn. You don't know that right now they have that problem itself with the duopoly. So does it serve the cause of any country to have a monopoly of power by a duopoly?
We don't support that. I'm just showing you what the facts are and asking you how you intend to append those.
So that's what I'm saying. Yes. So you were talking about the historical trend. I'm telling you that, look, what we have now, the situation that we found ourselves in over the past, is because there was no viable alternative. And I'll explain to you. There's never been any viable alternative to this duopoly. And that's why you are now working through the trend. That trend has arisen only because there was no viable alternative. When people start talking about, but Mr. A tried as an independent candidate, Mr. B tried as an... Try and check those people. These were, understandably excellent people. But the difference is that I am coming out of a dominant party. And I'm coming out of a dominant party also as a dominant figure in Ghanaian politics. That's number one. So the circumstances are not the same. That's not, you see, just try and understand what I'm saying. I've been minister in Kufuor's government with a distinguished record. I've been minister in a Kufuor's record with government with a distinguished record. Outside government, I have a distinguished record. I created the whole AFTA program initiative. Now, so all I'm saying is that you are comparing apples with oranges. Please don't get me wrong. It is not to devalue. It's not to devalue the capacity of these people. I'm saying it's different because I have been in government. All the people that you are talking, fine, they may have been coming from dominant parties. I'm saying that my record at this time, over the years, puts the political equation in a completely different light. Look, and I will say this again at the risk of sounding boastful. On the ballot paper, you find ex-President Mahama, you find Dr. Bawumia, you find Alan Chematin. When people start comparing, because you are voting for individuals. Now, you find that in the long run, these are the people you are voting for. In terms of vision, in terms of competence, in terms of integrity, in terms of the record of execution. The verdict will be very clear. And that's exactly what is going to happen.
I hear you. You see, what I want to ask you is, you're saying you'll be different because of your track record.
Yeah.
We've had these so-called smaller political parties not doing well. And the facts I have pointed out, you say you don't agree, but the facts are there, they speak for themselves. The two leading parties have increased their collective percentage to close to 98%. So the question is, if you are that viable candidate, we need to start seeing CPP, PNC, PPP, IPP saying that, well, this man is what he says he is.
Yes.
So where is the testimony of that? Because you are saying you are new, you are different.
Yes.
So within the 8 or so months you've been campaigning, we should have seen some coalition.
And it's happening.
Is it?
It's already happening. Let me explain to you.
Show me.
I started only a few months ago. Now, for the first time in the history of Ghana, I've been able to mobilize 9 new political entities into an alliance, into a coalition, which is the Alliance for Revolutionary Change. And it hasn't happened in our country before.
9 new political entities. I think you choose your words carefully.
Oh, yes. Some are political parties, some are...
Can you name some of them?
Oh, we have the National Interest Movement, led by Abu Zakara. Remember, Abu Zakara has been presidential candidate of CPP. He has been a vice presidential candidate. Known
entities?
Oh, but you don't know Abu Zakara?
I'm
just saying one.
Know him.
I'm saying, I'm saying you have NIM.
Yeah.
Then you have they call it Ghana First Coalition. Led by Bishop Stephen Mensah. Now, he has been campaigning for a very long time about going beyond this duopoly. We have Odike. Odike was founder and leader of the UFP. Now he's transitioned to the union government. That's how he calls his party. Now we have the Ghana National Party. We have the Third Force movement. So we have 9 different political entities. You don't need to be a political party.
Come out to say that.
Not that they have come out. We have formed an alliance. We have launched the alliance called the Alliance for Revolutionary Change. And the reason why it is a first in our country. All these previous efforts at alliances, whether it was the Great Alliance, Progressive Alliance, they never stood the test of time. In our case, within a matter of 1 month, all these different political entities were able to coalesce around the movement for change. And the reason why it has become something that would change the dynamics of our country. Again, for the first time, all these 9 other parties, apart from the movement or entities, agreed that Alan should become their leader.
So I don't discount the significance of that. Yeah. But the question I have is, of the names you've mentioned, only ODK has actually stood as a political party or run for anything. So these are...
But what about Abu Zakara?
No, I'm talking about the movement that they represent. So ODK's party we know.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is that there are existing parties like the PNC,
the CPP,
the PPP that if you are the person that will be seen as the alternative, then there's Ayariga's group, there's what's the name of this guy? Liberal
and then Gumu,
Yes. Don't you think it will be more substantive if those people come on board, because they are the ones who have run for president before?
No, I want to correct that impression, and I do so very respectfully. Don't start comparing the strength of political entities based on the fact that this man has run as president before. No, I think it would be wrong.
You have an organization.
We have an organization. They've campaigned before, and you have to look at the individuals. Let's look at the individuals. The fact that somebody has got a provisional license and has campaigned before as president, does that automatically make him better than somebody who has a political movement? Movements come about because they are pursuing a certain cause. And I'm saying that try and audit the background and performance of these other entities. But be that as it may, the fact that all of us have agreed to come together in alliance to fight the general election is in itself a very significant development. And do you know why we were able to do that seamlessly? It's because all of us realized that we are talking about the same thing. First, we were talking about going beyond the duopoly, the NDC and NPP. Secondly, we are talking about going beyond this winner takes all syndrome, lack of continuity of government projects. We were all talking about the need for constitutional reforms. We were talking about the need to go beyond manifestos and to have a plan.
Are there discussions with other groups beyond the 9?
Oh yes, very much so. I mean,
anything to report around the party?
When you haven't consolidated a discussion, maybe it's not appropriate to. But I have very close relationships with Dr. Indom, personally, and with his organization. I have very close relationship with the CPP. I mean, as an entity, I have very close relationship with the PNC. You know, right now, the second vice chairman and the current chairman of PNC, they've been campaigning with us openly.
The second vice chairman?
That's Henry Asante. You know him. And Henry Asante and Bala.
They are campaigning with you?
Oh, yes, they're openly. It's not that they are hiding.
Doing a registration drive. Is there a way in which you can test beyond? Because as I said, on the markets, are people registering? Do you have members?
We have a very robust and powerful volunteer corps. I don't even want to shock you, but the reason why we are confident, the reason why we are confident about this is that, look, we have mobilized volunteers who are 3 times the number of the executives of the 2 dominant parties.
Really?
I'm telling you. You see,
so in all 275 constituencies,
volunteers who on their own. This is not the typical thing where I made it clear.
So you're not going to do like offices or stuff like. You're not going to set up party offices.
No, but we have representation in every constituency. Every constituency.
So is there and also to find you?
Yes, and
it will be. I'll see the butterfly, or what will be there.
You of course the alliance and the butterfly, because
So it's now
so we agreed in the alliance that each alliance partner will keep the identity.
Okay.
But yeah, so
if I see
it's not a merger.
If I see Ghana Freedom Movement somewhere,
it's the same
still
thing.
you.
Yes.
So they are not changing their insignia to you.
Yes, no,
but
their
say
symbol
you will be their candidate.
Yes, and then also we work together. We fight the election together as one.
So just to be clear, so
it's not a merger.
So your agent at the polling station,
yes, could either be coming from the Movement for Change or let's say from the NIM or
but
from
they will come under the alliance.
Or under the alliance. But you see, because I'm coming
as an independent
it's the Movement for Change.
I get you. So it means that there will
and
not
the
be
butterfly.
The
alliance
you are not
will not
a
be
political party.
No.
So it's an alliance around an independent candidate.
Yes, it's an alliance around because they've all endorsed my candidature. So they are supporting the candidature of Alan Martin, who will be on the ballot paper representing the Movement for Change. And then also my symbol is Afafranto. My symbol is Afafranto. But if I can make a quick point, I think it's a very important question that you raised about, so how extensive is our support base? Do you know that the NPP, because I've been a founding member of them, the NPP does not have more than 1 million registered members. They've never had that, You
sure?
Oh, but it's clear. I mean, even the number of executives within NPP, those that you can commit that at all costs they will vote for NPP, the executive, there are only 210,000 people.
This includes the polling station.
Police station executive, all the way to national. There are only 210,000. Now, if you
so the party doesn't have more than 1 million registered card-bearing members. What about NDC?
NDC, I'm not sure. I don't want to make hazard a guess. But I suspect it will be around the same thing. Now, these are the people who you can bet that at all costs they will vote for NDC or NPP. Let me use NPP. At all costs they will vote for NPP because they are committed. Now, I can tell you that is the only base that they can count on. Now, if you decide that you even add 2 billion people to them, it only comes up to 3 million for either party. And NPP, the only group they can count on is not more than 3 million people. Now, but I just want to explain something to you. So you'd ask me, let's use the 2020 electoral statistics because we don't have 2024 statistics. There were 17 million registered voters. 17 million registered voters. Now, NPP in 2020 got, let's say, about 6.5 million. So you'd ask me, so how come did they get 6.5 million if there's no way that they can have more than 3 million hardcore supporters, not even registered members, supporters? Now, that difference between the 6.5 and the 3 million, they are all sympathizers. They vote for NPP or NDC only because there's no alternative. There's no alternative. Because if, let's say Bernard Avle, you are not committed, but you still want to vote, and you come election day, you have only NDC or NPP, and you want to vote, you vote for either of them. But you are not fully committed to them. If there's an alternative, you consider the alternative. So what I'm saying is that out of the 17 million registered voters in 2020, if you take 80% of the 80% turnout, and you get about 13 million people who actually voted, that 13 million, even if you gave NPP 3 million and NDC 3 million, that's only 6 million.
So there's 7 million left.
There's 7 million left. Who are the people? That's 7 million. I can tell you they are the people who matter. They are the people who matter. And do you know where it's coming from? Those aged between 18 and 35. Because out of the 17 million who are registered voters, almost 10 million, 9.7 million, are aged between 18 and 35. People have not worked out the numbers. So that's why NPP and DC think that, we have 40%. You don't have any 40%. You don't have that 40%. And they themselves know they don't have any.
You think that only half of the people who vote for the two parties actually are like hardcore voters for them.
Hardcore.
So
it will not go beyond that.
Sympathizers or people who vote based on,
and because there's no alternative.
So that's your.
That is my constituency. So and
but
that,
you know
that,
who these people
that,
are?
That explain,
how do you know who they? Where do we find?
But
them?
I've explained to you that the difference is that if they were
so
committed,
you give me an age demographic. What I'm asking is, do you have like also their geographic?
Absolutely. But
characteristics.
I'm not coming to this. I'm not coming to tell you on that. Open air now about. But you see, in my case, there's no village in Ghana where Alan will not be recognized either by face or by name. It's either Alan Cash, they know me just by the sound of my name or by my face. There's none of the two candidates has that level of penetration in a country. I'm saying this in all humility. Yes, but you see, look, remember.
You are more known in Ghana
no, look, I've been around. I'm talking about my own. I don't want. Yeah,
no,
I'm saying that there's no.
None of them has the same level of recognition as you.
And penetration. That's what I'm saying.
But that's debatable.
Well, but every time I'm talking about my own assessment. I'm talking about my own assessment. You see, because the point is that in NPP, when you run for primaries, it's only a small group of people who. But when finally you go for the general election, remember, there's no election that Nana, the current president, has been to in terms of general election, where you will not find Alan standing side by side with him. Nowhere. And on the ground, they love Alan because somehow, and you know, there's also some spirituality about you are laughing.
I'm smiling.
You're smiling. You see, there's a spirituality about leadership. There's a spirituality about, when people say that, it is God who makes kings and things that, it is real. It is real. And that's why I have bid my time.
So you think this is the time?
This is the time. And that's why I've never been worried. I've never been worried because never before in the history of our country has there been a compelling case for somebody who is different, an independent candidate. Never in our history. So you cannot compare those other elections where you say, but this man's too, they can. But this time, it has become clear. Look, I've been around the country. 70 to 80% of people say that they are tied with both NDC or NPP and that they will not vote. But that if Alan is serious about coming, then they will change their mind. All they need is for Alan to show up. Like I'm saying, hey, my brother, now you say you're Spanish. This not no, but I'm telling you, for me, it's something that I believe in, and also it's by God's grace. It's by God's grace, and also my track record is strong. I keep on telling people, if you are contesting on the basis of your political record, then frankly, that's not enough. What is it that you have done before coming into politics that makes you?
I'll just say
no, it's not fair enough because I want to say this before you move on.
We are ending. I'm just pointing out that generally in the past, most elections have been run on the track record of the organization that presents the person.
Yes.
So this will be the first time that if you were to win, it will be the first time that the person is talking about his credentials as a person.
Yes.
Because usually, for example,
I
NDC
understand
will tell you about what they've done as a party.
Yes.
Led by Mahama or Mills. Same for NPP. So what I'm saying is that means that the scope of what they have to show will be more than yours.
Yeah. No, but is it right? I mean, you've been a very distinguished political and economic analyst. Is it right that this must be the basis for selecting our leaders? That and that's where the arrogance of power comes in. That people feel that anybody you put there, because exactly as you are saying, if there's a political organization behind them, is that in your own?
No, I'm talking about the organization's track record and achievement.
No, I'm saying that, but is that appropriate? Because you see, all the great nations of this world have attained greatness not on the back of the political parties. All the look, Singapore, when we talk about Singapore, do you ever hear about the party Singapore? You hear about Lee Kuan Yew. When we talk about China, Mao Zedong was the founder of modern China. But when you talk about what transformed China into the most powerful economy, second most powerful economy, it's not about the Communist Party. It's about Deng Xiaoping. He made the difference. So it's about leadership. What is happening now is about leadership.
Let's read a few questions for you.
Who can make the next big stride? What you need is a transformational leader now.
We don't need strong personalities. We need strong institutions. I
Well,
think when Obama said that, we all agreed with him. So you are flipping that coin.
I'm not flipping that coin. What was the context within which Obama made that? So it's only look, but you see, people just quote this and then they use it for their argument. No, but the fact that he said it, you must appreciate the context within which he said, because he was talking about leaders trying to stay in office beyond their term. That's what he was talking about.
Talking about the emphasis of change. He was saying that to build a sustainable democracy, you need to build strong institutions and not emphasize strong leaders.
But you need both. They are not mutually exclusive. They are not mutual. Are you telling me that once you have the institutions, then the leadership does not matter? No, you cannot say that. And we should not just take what Obama said on the surface.
Let me read some questions for you before we wrap up. Please tell him to consider making Papa Kwesi Nkrumah his running mate. You are laughing now. You said I was laughing. Now you are laughing.
I'm smiling.
Hello, better than team. I like Alan's policy, but I won't vote for him simply for the fact that he will select parliamentarians from both NDC and NPP. They are the reason we are where we are now. We need a hard reset. Simple. You don't add your name. Good morning, Bernard. Please ask Alan what will be his action of prosecution of corrupt politicians who have misappropriated public funds. I'm one of his leaders of constituency volunteers, and we are working from Joe from Teshi. Thank you. Good morning, City. Please ask him how he's going to deal with Galamsey menace. Good morning. Please ask Alan about the possibility of being sabotaged if he picks NDC and NPP members as ministers. So that keeps coming. Good morning. I have two questions for Alan. What is his stance on the election of MMDCEs? And how does he plan to ensure that only qualified individuals are appointed to head state-owned institutions? Second question, how does he intend to ensure that people with disabilities are represented at the highest levels of decision-making? Since the questions are a lot, I would read through many of them, and then you may want to pick some of them that hit you. Hello, Bernard and team. My only suggestion for Alan is to employ the service of national service personnel to engage in agriculture. It's the way to go. Increase the allowance for those who work on farms. We need to produce more agro-foods than we can consume so that the surplus will be industrialized. Ghana will be a better place with agriculture. Good morning, Bernard. Please ask Jack. Oh, so you are Jack. Oh, Jack with a double K.
Yeah.
Okay, John Alan Kujo.
Yes,
okay.
yes.
Jack resurrected. How will he make the municipal and local government agencies work? Because I feel once the system is working from the bottom, there will be less dependency on the central government, which will free them to properly think and implement big policies. Also, how will he tackle corruption in the very small things we partake in every day? Ensure all cars are roadworthy, ensure assemblies are fixing their roads in real time. All right, so let me read this. There are two questions around local governance on voting for MMDCs and letting development come from bottom up.
Yes.
Two questions on corruption.
Yes.
Prosecuting corrupt officials and dealing with corruption.
Yeah.
Maybe you want to touch those briefly?
Yeah. Before I go on, I think I need to make this clarification.
Okay.
Because I've seen this coming up even from the questions. The Constitution provides that at least half of ministers must be selected from Parliament. It doesn't mean all ministers.
Yes.
So when I talk about selecting ministers from either the NDC or NPP or independent candidates who are represented in Parliament, remember, it's only half. It's only half the number. The other half will be Ghanaians who have nothing to do with the political parties. I think we shouldn't be thinking about the fact that, all
these ministers will be from the
No, it's only, and just to add that part of the constitutional reforms that I would advocate for is the change and amendment of the Constitution in respect of this requirement of selecting half of your ministers even from
So we have 10 minutes. What I'm going to do, I'm going to ask specific questions on some of the topics raised, and maybe 1 or 2 line answers to help.
No
you
problem.
can elaborate later. So, for example, do you believe in voting for MMDCEs?
Yes, it's already part of the constitutional reforms. It's all in the GTP that I'll make a strong representation for MMDCs to be.
Do you agree with those who say we should abolish ex gratia and Article 71 should be scrapped or reviewed?
Yes, I've already made that representation. And, it's very obvious that it's not just because people have been pushing for this, but that is the only sustainable way of ensuring that you have a sense of fairness and an equitable basis for the determination.
How do you intend to deal with corruption in relation to institutions like the Attorney General, Minister of Justice versus OSP? Any thoughts on your comments on corruption?
Unfortunately, we didn't get the chance to go through the GTP. But on corruption, I've made very powerful recommendations. Number 1, beyond personal leadership and political will, I have said that we have to create a new office of, I call it the anti-corruption czar, meaning anti-corruption overlord. The reason why I'm saying this, to replace the special prosecutor, the reason why I'm saying that, if you look at the existing laws that are supposed to deal with corruption, they are scattered all over the place. Yoko pretends that they are dealing with corruption. The special prosecutor is dealing with corruption. Siraj is dealing with corruption. There's so much confusion, even in legislation. So my proposal is that we consolidate all the existing corruption-related legislation and create one enabling legislation under which a new overlord will be.
Would you decouple the Attorney General for Ministry of Justice?
No, I'm not decoupled, but the prosecutorial authority of the Attorney General now will be limited only to the extent that it will not affect the authority of the anti-corruption overlord. Because you see, right now, the special prosecutor derives his authority from the Attorney General. And that presents a problem. So we will decouple that from...
These questions are not for elaboration.
No, I understand.
So I just want to give you some bullet points.
Okay.
You said you established a fixed exchange rate regime for import duty payments. Can you explain what that means?
Yes. So when you import goods, let's say at the time that you import a bag of rice, the exchange rate is 13 cedis to $1. If by the time the bag of rice arrives, the exchange rate has depreciated, or let's say the cedi has depreciated to $16 to them. Now, in calculating the duty that you have to pay, they will use the prevailing exchange rate.
Not the 16.
They will use the 16.
So that's what they do now.
That's what they do now. And I'm saying that it doesn't make sense.
So you use the duty at the rate at the time I did the purchase.
And so we'll fix it for a 6-month period so that there is consistency over a certain period.
And this is just for the port operations.
This is for the port
not
operations.
Necessarily running a fixed exchange rate regime.
No. I
think that's very important.
Because that is only for the calculation of duty.
Okay, because we run a flexible with a bit of control.
Yes. But so
you're not going to change that.
So no, but I'll come to that. So that the first one is in respect of how you calculate duty.
Yes.
We'll fix it for a period of 6 months, just to provide certainty and also to avoid imported inflation, because that's part of the problem. But the second one, which is different from what we are just discussing, is fixing the exchange rate below the prevailing market rate for strategic commodities. And what I mean is that there are some commodities that, for now, as a country, we have no choice but to import. Crude oil products, petroleum products, essential medicines, even cement. There is a component of cement, the largest component, raw material, clinker, is imported. So these are strategic commodities that affect the prices of these commodities, affect the entire economy. So if we allow this depreciation of the cedi to affect the prices of these commodities, would always be in trouble because of the multiplier effect of these commodities on the market. So the second proposal is that we'll have a second window, a second forex window for strategic commodities, only for strategic commodities. So, for example, if we consider that petroleum product is a strategic commodity, then even when the cedi depreciates, the Bank of Ghana, working with the Ministry of Finance, will determine the price or the rate at which we should fix a duty for the importation of these strategic.
Whilst we have a flexible exchange rate regime, there will be fixed for specific products.
For specific products, because of their impact on the economy.
That's going to be interesting. We can discuss that in a different program.
Yes.
So, 2 questions came around your plan. A couple of people want me to ask you, and I think I need to read it so you don't.
Okay.
Bernard, ask Alan the number of those entities he has aligned with. You asked already. Is he contesting because he wants NPP and Baumia to lose? Because some of his spokespersons speak stressing openly that they want that NPP will lose. This is a question that came in for you.
But I don't know on what basis he's asking that question, because if say somebody is asking or making representations to the fact that we want NPP to lose, then it's very unfortunate. I am not in this to become a kingmaker. I'm in this to contest to become president. And so the issue of contesting so that somebody loses, that's not right. That's why I was giving you the arithmetic, the political equation. People have not.
That. Yeah, in the case of a runoff, what do you do?
No, in the case of runoff, I'll still win. And that's exactly that is what is going to.
What if you are not in the top 2?
Well, that's why I'm saying that I've done all my own calculation. If it goes into a runoff, I will still have the leverage. I'll have the benefit, because, as I said, I will be able to pull either whichever.
No, I guess I'm saying, but in case of a runoff that you are not in the top 2, what will you do?
Well, we'll cross that bridge.
But at least you've thought about it, haven't you?
No. But the point is that I don't operate along those lines. I'm in this race because I know.
Scenario planning, right?
No, it's scenario planning.
We all hope to win, but we hope for the best. Yes. But also plan for the worst.
But
that's how we do it.
But Bernard, what I'm saying is that I have a plan, and I've given you a sense of why I think.
No, that's good. I'm just asking if in the case of a runoff, who will you support?
Well, no, I don't think that's a question on the table now.
You won't answer.
No, it's not a question on the table. Once it gets into a runoff, I mean, by the grace of God, I'll be the preferred candidate. Yes, even in a runoff.
Do you support the?
But can I make a point about this? You see, there's a lot of propaganda. Oh, Alan is the best candidate, and people know that I'm the right candidate for the country at this time. People know. There's no doubt about that. But there's a propaganda. Oh, but Alan, can he win as anybody? You see, because people are not looking at the numbers. And that's why I took my time to explain to you. The circumstances that we have in this country right now make it different from any other time. So it will be different. And of course, this is all with God's blessings. Yes.
Do you support the LI that the man who took over from you is laid before Parliament, Katie Hammond?
Yeah, my advice would be that he should start with an administrative regulation, because you see, the point is that there's always been an established process of consultation, and I know Katie, if he would take my advice, and he has a way of getting people to work with him, so I don't doubt that he can get some consensus, and if he can get that consensus, because there's an established body, and I'm sure Katie can engineer that consensus. If that consensus is engineered, then we don't necessarily move to the extent of legalized price control. Because when we start getting into legalized price control, it has its own implications. But you can achieve the same result with consultation and administrative regulation. Yeah.
We wish you well. I'm sure we'll talk soon. Thank you for talking to us, Alan Kyerematen. JAKK. So this is the text that the name a text I brought. John Alan Kyerematen.
Thank you very much, Bernard. And let me end by this note that for the first time in Ghana, by the grace of God, the first independent presidential candidate will become president. And in Netherlands right now, we have an independent candidate who is prime minister.
Let me use your favorite word, fair enough.
Is that your favorite?
No, that's what you got from
That's what I'm borrowing from you, fair enough.